Well, now I want to turn to Martin Brechbiel, MMR, for his Scratch Building Corner. Martin, welcome.
Oh gosh, I'm back. Let's see, what the heck is that? And there we are. Yeah, frivolous, but why not? So here's what we're building, or I started building whenever I started building it. Some plans that were in Narrow Gauge Shoreline Gazette for an On30 car. I liked it, but I'm not going to build. I'm not building On30. We're going to go straight O scale, standard gauge, and all that fun stuff. My version of it, at least. And yeah, 2 weeks ago, that's about where we were. Coffee sticks and strip wood, and lots of strip wood, and lots more strip wood uh, glued up, and we got the sides, and the half the door on the one end, and it had the other door in the end fabricated. And instead of doing that, looking at those, though, we're going to look at the roof. This is two scraps of Northeastern or somebody's freight car roof. Just glue them together. I mean, this is out of my scrap box. You know, I throw everything in a 3 or 4 scrap boxes on one bench, and whenever I can extract something out of it and use it, I will. This is just glued up together, two scraps, and I've extended the ends to get some overhang because otherwise it's perfectly flat on the end, and you don't have any overhang over the ends of your cars. So you have to add that on or mill away part of the end. And easiest way to mill it away, of course, is a table saw, which is the one tool I don't have. And I'm not flipping this over and building a jig and cutting it on my radial arm saw because I like my fingers firmly attached. So it's easier for me to cut this to a length and add overhang pieces. And you can see what I mean. You've got this extra overhang at both ends, which matches the side. Yeah, this is kind of rough, but it won't matter. We're going to cover it all up on the other side anyhow. On the underside, well, unless you're inside the car, you won't see it. So we drop the roof into place, and cleverly, I actually measured things to be correct, and the roof actually fits. It's absolutely shocking, actually, that I got it right the first try, even, which it has happened once in a while. So this drops into place, and friction holds it in place. So I did eventually glue it down. And there's the end with the roof sitting over it. And you can see the purpose of having that overhang. It covers over all this end bracing and the end walls. Otherwise, it's just a blank piece of wood that sticks out, which is not very attractive. And of course, we don't have a lot of end grain showing either as a result. So paint, stain, etc., it takes very smoothly and cleanly. Okay, so we made the side door 2 weeks ago. Well, I'm going to hang the side door. I had some barn door hinges or barn door hardware. It had grooves cut in it, which just happened to fit a 15 thousandths piece of brass. So we have a piece of brass for a railing. Just mount that to this. This door gets dropped right on that, and a little bit of CA glue, and everything's nice and snug right where it belongs. Not going to have the door open, so we have a nice door handle here. Nonetheless, just some probably 25 thousandths wire. Ladder, it's laser cut piece of ladder kit. I can't remember whose it is. It's either BTS or Banta's. I don't remember. I just grab them indiscriminately out of the parts bins and go with it. Okay, so here's the other end, the front end, or depending on your viewpoint, the back end. But I think I'm going at the front end. We have a door that we made. We put a handle on it. Some more ladder, laser cut ladder. I found one of the things, these parts don't actually fit in very well into the gaps cut into the sides of the ladders. You got to carve just a little bit of a nick out of it. You can see there's a little bit less. Make them fit. Yeah, it's not straight. I like it that way. Keeps the water to run off the steps for you. Well, I neglected last week or whenever to not discuss an underbody, but yes, we install an entire K-brake system. I think that's a Grant Line brake cylinder. Those are styrene levers that I made. Brass hangers are just 15 by 60 thousandths brass. Lots of wire. These are Grant Line truss turnbuckles that have been cut in half and or cut one end off and use those for making clevises. It all goes together with a little bit of CA, a little bit of goo, and it's easily done. All of the truss rods, that's just surgical silk, T-sheet turnbuckles, Grant Line queen posts. They run. That's one piece of silk thread, by the way. It runs through the car 4 times. It's anchored at each end with Grant Line nut bolt washer casters and a little bit of CA. You get lifted up after it's strung through onto the queen posts. So these are actually under real tension. It stretches the surgical silk a bit. And you have to be kind of careful about doing it so you don't break your queen posts or do something really foolish and get the surgical silk caught on your fingernail, and it will cut you because it's got enough friction there. Okay, there's a scribe siding added to the top of that wood milled wood roof, so it doesn't matter how ugly that joint was. It's all covered up anyhow. We've added our roof walk supports, and then those are just Grant Line parts. These are 3x4s. I use a lot of 3x4s since I have a few hundred of them laying around. Okay, we made our end railings. It's just 25 thousandths brass wire. Bend that up around the corner. I actually have a small screwdriver or a piece of copper tubing that I bend it around to get different radii. So those just get bent, inserted into these supports. They're soldered together, and these are back into holes driven into the ends, and it's very sturdy and solid. We have a precision scale brake wheel through a ratchet and pawl casting into the stirrup step, and that connects up our brake system. Okay, so you can see the railings from the sides. So we added the stirrup steps. These are actually glued in place with goo and CA, and then they are drilled and pinned. And I use the word pinned. Literally, these are actually pins, clothing pins that I cut off. I hold those in a hemostat, nip them off with a pair of pliers, and then smooth the ends, stick them through the holes that are drilled with a drop of CA as I stick them through the hole. So these aren't coming off easily. And stake pockets, they're just Grant Line parts, and they're glued in. And these, as I said 2 weeks ago, these are 3x4s. That's one of the reasons I use 3x4s. They match the Grant Line castings. And yeah, there's our ladder again. Okay, we're into paint and staining. A lot of Minwax, miscellaneous Minwax stain. Various chalk, pigment stuff, whatever that stuff really is, applied with Q-tips and stuff. We've added trucks, couplers, air hoses, castings at each end now, precision scale pieces. They are soldered to a 3/64 tubing, which goes through the hole in the end, which slides over the 32 thousandths brass wire train line. So it's all one unit. It's a little tricky sliding those through the hole in the end, but a little bit of practice and they go right through pretty smoothly. A lot of black, grimy black, engine black, tarnished black, a lot of various pigments applied again. The roof is painted probably dark gray or something close to it with more stuff added to it. Pretty clean sides. A little touch up here and there just to give it a little bit of color on the staining. And there's our roof. We've got the roof walk added, the platforms, a couple of grabs, which were salvaged out of a railcraft kit. I think. Might have been a train. I don't remember. It's one of the two, railcraft or traincraft. But they were in a miscellaneous tub on the parts on my bench, so they got used. And they're just painted, and then again a little bit of wash and stain and pigments added to the roof just to give it a little bit of color on top of the gray. More on the back. Added a couple more grab irons across the back. And more paint and staining, and more paint and staining, and more paint and staining, and we're done. That's it. That's this car. And next month, it'll be something else. I say something else because I have no idea what it is myself yet. But I'm sure I'll come up with something.
Martin,
Great model, Martin.
I have a
Anybody have
question,
any
Martin.
questions? Go ahead.
Yes. On the bottom of those stanchions or those
Yeah.
anyway, what did you put on those?
Those are actually castings of mine out of my parts bins. They're copies of some kind of base for a railing that I salvaged somewhere.
Okay.
And I thought they were so nice. So 8 years ago, I threw them in a mold and RTV mold, and said I should cast 200 or 300 of these because someday I'll use them. And every now and then, someday shows up.
And somebody might ask.
Yeah, and they're hard. They're actually kind of hard to use because they're not cored for wire. So I have to sand them off and make a dimple with a tiny drill and then drill a through hole. Their work.
Okay.
But
Good looking model, Martin. Thank you so much.
I think you can get something comparable to probably from Precision Scale.
I think so.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But you'll pay through the
Pay big bucks.
Yeah, you better, you'll pay through the snout.
Martin,
Thanks,
thank
Martin.
you so very much.
Yep.